Today's lesson is Module 4, Lesson 4, the relationship between division and subtraction. We're going to start our notes off today with just a review of division. And remember that division is repeated subtraction and that the division symbol means to split into equal groups. I just want to give a reminder that you can pause and rewind this video as often as you need to make sure that you're able to get everything written into your notebook. So in today's example, I used the expression 18 minus 3. And this time I interpreted this expression as 18 being to split into groups of 3. So I tried the repeated subtraction first. And in the repeated subtraction, what I did was I just subtracted 3 each time. So I start off with 18 minus 3, and that resulted in 15. So then I know I could continue to subtract 3. That gave me 12. Subtract 3 again, that resulted in 9. Subtract 3 again, resulted in 6. Subtract 3 again, resulted in 3. Subtract 3 again, and finally it resulted in 0. Then I tried the same thing, and I made a tape diagram of 18. And this time I counted off and put them in groups of 3. And I found that I had 6 groups. So 18 split into groups of 3 is 6. Then I looked at the same expression in a different way. This time I looked at 18 divided by 3 as 18 split into 3 groups. I know that one of my facts is 18 times 6. 3 times 6 is 18. So I did repeated subtraction for 6. So 18 minus 6 is 12. Minus 6 is 6. Minus 6 is 0. So that told me that on my tape diagram, I needed to put 6 in each group. So I know that 18 split into 3 groups is 6. So now we're going to go on to today's lesson. So go on ahead and take out your student book. And we are going to look at exercise 1. In exercise 1, it says build subtraction equations using the indicated equations. The first example has been done for you. So I want us to really examine what they've done in this first example. And I'm really going to highlight just these first 2 columns. So in this first column, it gives me the division equation. Remember, it's an equation because it has an equal sign. And then in the next one, it says the divisor indicates the size of the units. So when I look at this, I see 12 divided by x equals 4. And when I look over here, this is now repeated subtraction. And I want to take note of how many times I see x. And I see x 4 times. I can relate that to the answer that they gave me in this column here. So I'm going to apply that same rule here. So I'm going to start with 18, just as they started with 12 in both of their equations. This is repeated subtraction. And I know that they use their answer to determine how many x's. So the answer is 3. So it's going to be 18 minus x minus x minus x results in 0. I want you to go ahead and do the next 2 on your own. When you're finished, come back and check your answer. So go ahead and pause your video and try that one on your own. You should have found that you should have put 5 y's. So 35 minus y minus y minus y minus y minus y equals 0. And then finally, you should have put minus 6 z's. So 42 minus z minus z minus z minus z minus z minus z equals 0. Now we're going to take a look at the next 2 columns that they have prepared for us. Let me adjust the screen so that you can see the entire column. This time it appears they made a tape diagram of the beginning number. So we're going to make a tape diagram. Sorry, it's a little crooked. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Just the size. And I can see in this one that it looks like they made 1, 2, 3, 4 groups, which matches my answer. So this time I need to make 3 groups out of 18. So I have to think about my facts, and I have to think about what times 3 would give me 18. Well, I know that 3 times 3 is 9, and 3 times 4 is 12, and 3 times 5 is 15, and 3 times 6 is 18. So if I'm going to put it into 3 groups, I know I need 6 in each group. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you can see that each group was equal. So 18 minus 6 minus 6 minus 6 is equal to 0. There are 6 in each group. So x equals 6. That's in my final column. How many was in each group? So in this column, you're going to tell me how many in each group. I want you to go ahead and do the next 2 on your own or with a partner, and then come back and check your work. So for the next one, you should have gotten 35 minus 7 minus 7 minus 7 minus 7 minus 7 equals 0. So you should have had 5 groups of 7. You knew it was 5 groups because your answer in the first column was 5, and you should have determined that y equaled 7. In the last one, you should have had 42 minus 7 minus 7 minus 7 minus 7 minus 7 minus 7, 7 in each group. You should have made 6 groups of 7 because 6 was your answer in the first column and said that z equaled 7. We're going to go ahead on and we're going to take a look at the second part of this exercise. And this is very similar to what we did at the top. Only just as I had showed you in your notes, there's 2 ways to read a division problem. So in the first one, we broke it into groups based on the answer. This time you can see that their answer is telling us what x is. And so what we're trying to do now this time is determine how many groups. So on this first one, 3 is my answer, so I'm going to use that for x. So I'm going to repeatedly subtract 3 until I get to 0. So 18 minus 3 is 15, minus 3 is 12, minus 3 is 9, minus 3 is 6, minus 3 is 3, minus 3 is 0. So I can see that I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 groups of 3. So in this column, Once I have my 18, I'm going to count off 1, 2, 3 and circle them. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to count up how many groups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There were 6 groups. So X equaled 6. So in this column here, I'm going to say how many groups. That's how I'll determine my answer. So this was a repeated subtraction of -3. And I say it was in 6 groups of 3. I want you to go ahead and try the next 2 on your own. When you're done, come back and check your answers. In the last 2, you should have made a tape diagram of 35, broke them into 7 groups with 5 in each group, y equals 7. And in the last one, a tape diagram of 42 with 7 groups of 6, and 7 was your answer. Let's go on to the next one. On the next one, it says answer each question using what you've learned in the relationship of division and subtraction. So if 12 divided by x is 3, how many x's would have to be subtracted from 12 in order to be 0? Well, according to our problems that we just did, I know I could do 12 minus x minus x minus x would equal 0. So if I have 12, and I broke it into 3 groups, I know that I would have to have 4 in each group. So x equals 4. I can check that by saying 12 minus 4 minus 4 minus 4 equals 0. So 12 minus 4 equals 8, and 8 minus 4 equals 4, and 4 minus 4 equals 0. I want you to go on and do B and C on your own, and then come back and check your answers. For B, you could have said 36 minus F minus F minus F minus F. You should have thought, what times 4 gives me 36, because I know I would have 4 groups. 4 times 9 is 36. So then I check that. 36 minus 9 is 27. 27 minus 9 is 18. 18 minus 9 is 9. And 9 minus 9 is 0, meaning F equals 9. On the last one, 24 minus B is 12. So I just reversed it, because I know whatever I subtract and result in my answer, I can just subtract my answer and get what I would have been subtracting before. So 24 minus 12 is 12. So B equals 12. For today's assignment, you are going to complete 2 tables, just like we had done in the work together in the class book. And for the exit ticket, I want you to explain why 30 minus x equals 6 is the same as 30 minus x minus x minus x minus x minus x minus x equals 0, and then tell me what is the value of x. If you have any questions, please feel free to first rewind and re-listen to the video, or come and check with me if you need some more help.